What's going on, guys? It's Jamie at 513Fab. Today I'm going to do a T3 collector for a turbo manifold I'm working on. This is for an SRT4. It is one of the last ones I'll be doing. I got one more top mount to do and finish up some sidewinders, and then I will be done with these manifolds. Moving on to a couple other platforms that I've been working on recently, but today I'm going to show you how I make my collectors, what I do, what I use, tools I use, so on and so forth. So for here we have 1.5 inch schedule 10 pipe. This is an LPSFab collector cutting jig, and I'll post the link to his website. Not sure if he has any in stock. I know for a while they were kind of in and out, so you had to kind of get it when you could, but for the most part everything he has is in stock as of recently. I have mine set to 15 degrees. It's kind of hard to see. Set 15 degrees on the tilt, and then this piece here, you can use, he comes with 1.5 inches, and then I think 1.25 inches. So if you're using a smaller pipe size, you can put this piece in and it'll have the same degrees. It's just smaller, so it clamps onto the tube or the pipe a little better. The way I do mine is, so I'll use this, this dash right here as my 0. That way this one over here is my 90. And it'll be like 90, I want to say like 91 or 92 degrees that you'll actually cut. It's weird it's kind of weird. You have to play around with your saw and your adjustments to make them perfect, but I go about 91 degrees. So it's just a hair over this line. These are in 5-degree increments, and STLFab has a very good video on how to use this. I will link his video in the description as well. Joey's a good buddy of mine, so happy to help him, support him as well. So when you get this, it'll just come bare. This is for if you're cutting multiple the same cut, you can set a stop up in this so you turn it the same degree every time. I don't ever use that just because it's easier for me just to look at it, turn it, and I'm good. The rest of it I can massage out on the sander. Now as far as the pipe, I will cut mine 1.75 inches or 1.25 inches, my bad. You can go 1.5 inches if you want a little extra length. I keep these collectors as tight as I can. That way I don't have any issues fitment wise. It is tight on the back sides of these motors, so I try to keep them as close as I can. We have just a stainless steel T3 flange, and I won't be doing the wastegate in this video. I'm gonna wait till later once we get everything mocked up on the back side of the motor. That way I know fitment's good. This kit does come with a downpipe and a dump tube as well, so we can make sure clearances are good there. So for now I will lay out the tube or the pipe. I'll lay out the pipe, set it up in a bandsaw, get everything cut, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, so now that we got all these pieces cut, you can see they're all the same length. I'm going to take them over to the grinder, clean them up. I'm going to deburr them and all that good stuff. Make sure everything's clean. To deburr them, all I use is just a Milwaukee die grinder and a carbide bit set up. So just take them, do them on the inside, and then I'll clean them up on the outsides with the belt sander. But I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll be right back, and I'll show you how we set them up in the jig. Alright, so now that you have your pieces beveled, that one was machined already, this one is one I did. I give my pieces a quick wipe down, and then I hit them with the deeper tool as well. But for setting up in the jig, you'll set your jig in the bandsaw, which I'll show that here in a minute, but then we have to mark our reference lines on these pieces, but they just fit down in here. They just slide down. You use a 3/8 Allen key, like I just use this one. Fits in the back here, and then you just tighten that down. But you want to make sure you line the face of this with your saw blade. So you don't want to cut into it like you see the blades hit these a couple times. You just want it to sit right against it. And you want to make sure that your bandsaw is square and all that. You don't want to, if your bandsaw is not square and you put this thing in, you'll get some weird cuts. So I've already, I square my bandsaw every time I put a new blade in, when I break my blade in, just to make things a little easier down the line. But we'll go through, mark all of our center lines real quick, and then we will go about setting this up in the jig. So now we got our center lines marked on everything. I just put in a quick time lapse of how I do that, but just an explanation, I just take a square block, a 1, 2, 3 block, line it up, hit it with the marker, get a nice solid line. And what the line does is you always put your bevel down first, but your line is what you degree off of. So our first cut we know will be at 0. We'll cut it. Our second cut, let's spin it to the other side, will be at right between 90 and 95. So let's just say 92.5 will be our cut mark. When you go to fit all these, some guys get them perfect every time. I've done it a couple times, but it is a learning process. I don't build manifolds every day, so I don't have it down perfect, but this has always been my go-to, and I've had good luck with it. So we'll go ahead, set these up in the bandsaw, get these cut, and then we will move into prepping them to weld, and then we'll go through, weld them all up, and then we'll cut the end of it off and get the flange on. I plan to get the flange on. Might not be fully welded in this video, but at least it'll be tacked on there and ready to go. So I just wanted to give a quick example of how I set this up. So you put your jig inside, clamp it, make sure it's tight. You can still get to this Allen kit or Allen bolt in the back. You want to make sure your blade is touching. You want to rest it against the blade. It will graze it a little bit. I mean, you could back it off just a smidge, but that's the easiest way I've found to do it. And then just raise your blade up. Make sure you put your bevel side down. We're going to line our mark up with 0. And you want to make sure when you tighten this down, because it will move, that you get it right on 0, or whatever your 0 is. Take your tighten it down. That way you're right on 0. It's kind of hard to see, but anyways, you get the idea. I'm going to set it up in a time lapse. I'm going to cut all these, and then we will go on to the next step. So once you got all your pieces cleaned up, ready to go, I take just a torch to them just to make sure everything is, burn all the oils and stuff off. Now that you got all that done, we are just using, this is just Midwest tungsten, literally from Amazon. 2% lanthanated, so I use the blue, 3/32 in size. We are using, pull this out here, a Furick, this is just this BBW cup. We're running, I want to say 40 on the flow gauge. I'm going to give this a quick sharpen real quick, and then we will get to welding. Work the pedal. So it's however you want to do it. So I'm going to set up the first piece and then set you guys up on a time lapse for the rest of it. So first piece in. Make sure we're good here. Move these out of the way. Try to get a good view of this. See how it goes. Easiest way, first thing I'll do is I'll tack mine. Normally I'll tack both sides, but I'll just tack this side, kind of do a little overview of it, and then we'll go from there. Once you get her tacked up, I'll wipe this spot down real quick. Get this dirt off you. So just 2 tacks there, tack there, and then we'll burn this side in real quick. I'll start from, depending on it, it really depends on how you want to do it. I normally start from here and work my way down, but you could do it either way. But first of all, I'll weld the inside, that way it does not open up while we're welding the other side. There you go. First weld. Burn this other side in. I did adjust my amps. I did set it to 90, just so I could work the pedal a little bit more. Alright, so now that the collector is fully welded, as you can see, all the way inside, and what I do here is I just put an extra long stick out on my tungsten, and you can see with the longer stick out, which you could go depending on the collector you're cutting, you may have to go longer, but you can see you can get down in there and you fill that, you just fill it up. A lot of guys, that's the most intimidating thing. It was for me, I'm not gonna lie. But after doing it a couple times and just practicing, you figure out ways to do it, ways not to do it. So it's all about practice in the end, but everything's welded up. So now we are on to one of the final steps for this collector, and that is welding this piece of 2.5 inch tube. This is just a scrap piece I got laying around. So what you do is you set it up, and you'll put this on straight, obviously. You want to set it up as straight as you can, that way when you cut it, it's as straight as it can be. But what this does is you'll be able to cut the right alongside this edge of the tube, and that will give you a flat collector, because right now you kind of see it kind of comes up to a point on 4 corners. You could sand this down if you wanted, but it would take you forever. So easiest thing to do is you'll set this up here, just put a tack weld on each one of them, and like I said, you want to get it as straight as you can. There's really no perfect way to do this. I just get it as straight as I can, just eyeballing it. And then I'll take and throw a little tack weld. Alright, so now that we have the collector finished up, as far as grinding goes and cutting, all that good stuff, I line this thing up as straight as I can. You're going to notice there is a gap. That will be taken care of with an air hammer or a punch and hammer, whatever you have. Air hammer makes it pretty quick work of it. But I'm just going to tack 4 sides, and then I'll weld each side, that way it can't move. And then we'll, in the next video, I'll finish weld everything on the flange side, and we will take the air hammer and do all that work. But for this video, since it is kind of getting long, we're just going to weld this up and then we'll go from there. So now that we got everything finished up and welded, aside from these side pieces here, I'll knock those out tomorrow with the air hammer and then finish weld the outside. Tomorrow we will start doing the runners for the manifold. I'm going to get everything bolted up to the jig and squared away, and then kind of just a general overview of my process of running the runners, and then everything else will be time lapse besides some cuts in and out, just showing you what I'm doing. So as far as that, for now, this will be the first part, just doing the collector, and then we'll move on from there.